Yana Sabramowitz here. I hope you're having a fabulous day. Let's talk about interactive storytelling. Woo! Okay, so glad you made it. I have a very good tip for you today, and it really is about the one practical tip that will help you overcome creating learning that actually bores people to death and doesn't actually achieve the results that you want. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is just what's happening in the world and the things that are actually messing us up. So one of the things that is messing us up as far as designing compelling interactive stories is learning outcomes. Yeah, I want you to now, after this video, my hope is that you will look at those outcomes, learning outcomes, in a completely different way. And let me tell you why. So first off, I believe that basically when you look at learning outcomes, all they are is a justification of the info dump you're going to proceed with. And let me tell you, if you go into any instructional design groups where people are getting advice about lots of content, how do I manage it, or how do I connect this to the learning outcomes, tons of people basically get a giant book of stuff, and then they look for the learning outcomes in that content so they can justify it being there. It's like, that's it. It's pretty nasty. So if you've been in those situations, raise your hand, say, heck yeah, sometimes I've used the content to drive the learning outcome. That's when you know you're creating an info dump. Been there. I've done that. I was like, oh, what is this? Oh, they get to define the 2 ways that they... No, who cares, right? That's terrible. That means you're basically there to, and people will fight for learning outcomes. They'll be like, no, the adult learner needs to know the learning outcomes so they can plan their learning. Yeah, only if, there's a better way. I'm going to tell you that better way. But first off, let's really, if you have any doubts about learning outcomes, I'm going to dispel them all here, okay? All right. By the way, if you haven't signed up yet, elearningsecrets.com, go there, check out what's there, check out my webinar, register for it. And if you don't, if you do, what happens is you get on my list, and then if there's any events that are coming up that you can't, let's say you can't attend this one, guess what? I'll let you know. All right? Okay. So, practicality. When was the last time you saw a learning outcome that was actually practical for somebody? They're like, oh, look, at the end of this, I'll be able to do this. If you did see that, that's total BS. You know why? That's a lie. That's a complete lie. There's no way at the end of 15 minutes I'm going to be like, I'm going to be able to do this. That's completely disingenuous. So not only are you almost doing the opposite of a disclaimer, when you get diet exercise equipment or something, they're at the bottom, they're like, we cannot guarantee you will get results because we don't know who you are. We don't know how you're going to use this info, how you're going to apply it. And we're doing the opposite. We're like, you're going to get to do this, 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 and at the end you get to, you get to be this rock star. That's a lie. So it's actually false claims that we're setting. Nobody's checking at the end going, hey, did you actually use this in any way and apply any of this stuff that we said arbitrarily was important? Yeah. Value. That's basically what we're trying to do there, is sell this, the next 30 minutes of stuff that we're going to pump your way and you're going to go through. Well, it's because of all these things, because you're going to be a rock star at defining things and understanding things and knowing when to do this and when to do that. Now, those are pretty actually concrete, and most places don't even have that. So let's just say that that's what we're trying to do, is sell the value of all that content. This is I think the most important thing to understand. Learning outcomes are for us. They're not for the learner. They're for us. Really. I mean, think about it. You feel like you're in control, right? I have this checklist of stuff that I need to have, and look, it matches. I'm in charge. Everything's good. It's working. These are things that are important to you as the designer of learning. Am I meeting this criteria? But it doesn't mean much to the learner. So what you have to do is we're getting lazy by putting the learning outcomes out there and saying that's for them. No, it's for you, and you didn't do the work. You have to do one more step, which is to translate it into a transformation for them. What does it mean to them to be, like, why do they need to know the definitions of things? Why do they need to understand the things that they need to do? Why do they need to be aware of those things? How is that going to translate into value for them? Real value, not verbal value, not theoretical value, not checkmark value, real value. So that's where transformation comes in, okay? Now, the thing with transformation, magic. When I see transformation being done right now, this is transformation in e-learning, okay? Let me just show you transformation in typical e-learning. This is learning outcome. You will, at the end, so they start with, at the end of this learning module, you will be able to, amazing. And then there's the last screen. You are now able to, and basically just copy and paste this. Success! That's just what? Really? Yeah, this is transformation. Let me show you the real way to use transformation, okay? And it has nothing to do with using the same language here. What's transformation? I mean, really, at its core. And my marker's squeaky. Did anybody notice? Okay, so transformation. Transformation is a place where you are now. You are here right now. And a place where you want somewhere one day in the future to be. Now, when we're doing an interactive story, we're telling the story of a person, of a human being in the world, doing things that are real to the people that are also looking at this e-learning. So they're not pirates, they're not, they're not leprechauns, they're real people, all right? So the real people, and one day they want to be someplace else. But here's where they are now. So what happens is, basically, this is what we call transformation. From the place they are now, the person they are now, the decisions that have gotten them to the now, to the decisions that will help them get to be somewhere else. New, somewhere awesome, better than today. Now, one of the things you have to do is when you're selling this story is you have to make the difference between the now and the future awesomeness explicit, right? You might say, what? How do I make that explicit? What does that even mean? Well, explicit means that it's really blatant. How do you do that? You exaggerate. You exaggerate the heck out of it. That's one of the things this is a secret sauce, everybody. This is what we should be doing, and we're not doing this enough because we're like, this is too, it's making me uncomfortable. That's great. That's wonderful. If somebody comes into your training and they're like, I'm uncomfortable with this, good. That means we're pushing you beyond what you usually are comfortable with dealing. That's why we're here, because you're comfortable and we're trying to push you out to a different place. And that means you're going to be uncomfortable. It's a good thing. I want you to suffer a little because this is the place to do it, not in the real world. I'm actually saving you time. So, how do we make this transformation explicit? You exaggerate the heck out of it. How do you exaggerate it? Well, if I'm talking about Jim and Jim needs to get to be the top salesperson, he wants to be at the award ceremony getting the #1 thing at the very end. You know, he wants to be there, get the trophy with his name on it. He wants the Stanley Cup of sales. right here, he can't just be like the super close guy. He's got to be the worst of the worst. What does the worst salesperson get? What is his worst day? His worst day is when he gets his 10 doors slammed in his face. It's raining. It's, he's bummed. His cat just died. It's a bad place. Because the thing is, if you paint it, worst case scenario, still real, but worst case, then what happens is you're really making the distinction between where you are now and the decisions you need to make to get here way more sexy. Like, I want to be here. I want to help Jim because look at where he is now. He's getting 10 doors a day slammed in his face. And he ruined his only really good pair of shoes that he right? Like, you gotta help him. So a lot of people are like, well, that's not really the truth. It is. It's just amped up to the level where it makes somebody extremely relatable, right? And then this is the other thing that I want you to think about. This is not just the context of work. Yesterday when I talked about in my live, which a lot of you enjoyed, which is great, and I got a great feedback on it, but the thing that I said is, what business are we in? And we're in a business of making people's lives better, right? And when I say lives, I really mean lives. I don't mean work or performance, because when you go home, do you think about work? A lot of people do. Some people wake up in the middle of the night and they think about work. They think about projects. They get anxious. They get stressed out. That could be Jim. So we're not just talking about the way he's going to benefit it at work. We're talking about how he's going to benefit. Yeah, he's going to have that trophy, but you know what else he's going to get? An amazing night's sleep. And he's going to wake up on Saturday to have brunch with his family, and he's going to be a different person because he just got all the sleep he could. He didn't wake out at 3 a.m. stressed out about how he's going to make the next mortgage payment because he made it. So you got to step outside of just work performance and think about how the things you're designing are affecting people in their lives, because that's what you have impact over. Because if I make Jim's life better at work, his life at home will also be better. So you got to think about it that way. But then also what happens is when you think about it in that broad sense, because everything affects everything else, you are also able to pull into your transformation elements from people's lives, which makes your character more credible, which makes this journey more real. It's not just about like, yeah, Jim got the trophy. It's like Jim gets to hang out with his kids and be present, or Jim gets to now take his little girl to the park because he can take the day off because he's not stressed out and trying to work every day with his poor skills of sales. Do you know what I mean? So what you need to do is think about, hey, I am impacting people's lives, but that also means I get to draw from people's lives to make this a better story, to make this a better character, to make their journey more worthwhile, because it's not just about the work. The work is a part of it. We're trying to feed the whole person here. It's a holistic thing, right? So, I think that what you get to do is bring in emotion, which is what's missing from all of corporate learning, all of adult learning, emotion, right? And we're emotional creatures. We affect change in our lives because we feel something for something. So if you can make somebody feel something here, that's great. So Jim not only gets the door slammed in his face, but he's feeling so anxious and he's worried all the time, and he mulls over bad sales calls all the times. He's mulling over how he's going to take care of his elderly mom. She's getting worse and worse. All that stuff. Now, that's the thing, right? Now, I care for Jim just a little bit. I can imagine him in my mind. I don't have to be Jim. I don't have to be just like Jim. I just need to relate to Jim enough that his transformation, when he gets here, I get it. And I cheer for Jim. Do you get it? Let me know if you get it. If that resonates with you. That would be really cool. So, you want more of this? elearningsecrets.com, sign up. Otherwise, I hope you have a fabulous rest of the day and you think about this transformation. You think about learning outcomes and the fact that they're just a check mark list for you. Hopefully, there's something valid. They're trying to achieve something as well, but they're going about it the wrong way. Do you know what I mean? So it's really just get rid of those things and think about what's the challenge for Jim and start with that and put that to the learner and say the challenge for you is to help Jim get this trophy. Are you up for the challenge to help him? Okay, good. Let's go. Isn't that more compelling than you're going to learn the 4 steps on how to sell this widget? And we're going to tell you the differences between these widgets and these widgets, and then you're going to be able to make the best recommendation. And then you will meet your quota. Like, all right, I'll end on that note, right? How fun is that? Take care. Bye. Thanks for sticking around. I'm grateful for you.